My mother-in-law is 60, but emotionally she lives inside those over-the-top "you didn't cherish me, now kneel and beg me back" drama clips on TikTok. Ever since she discovered those regretful husband web novels and fire pit romance edits, our house has turned into a live-action soap opera. She slams bowls. She flips tables. She throws herself on the couch and wails that no one understands her. And lately, she's been treating me like I'm her personal villain. That night, I had just finished cooking. I set plate after plate on the table: braised beef, garlic shrimp, ribs, sautéed greens, soup, rice. The kind of spread normal families save for the weekend. I was still straightening a pair of chopsticks when my mother-in-law, Brenda, swept in like she was stepping onto a stage. She didn't even look at the food. She picked up her chopsticks, tapped them once on the bowl, and then snap! She let them fall onto the table with a sharp crack. "What is this?" she sneered, wrinkling her nose. "Dog food? You expect me to eat this? People my age are posting steak and lobster on Instagram, and you serve me cheap home cooking?" My husband, Ethan, and my father-in-law, Hank, both stiffened. Once upon a time, Brenda had been normal. When Ethan and I first got married, she was strict but reasonable. We didn't always agree, but we could sit at the same table without someone threatening to run away. Then she fell down the rabbit hole of those begging for forgiveness stories. Now she walks around like the tragic female lead whose family is destined to regret not worshipping her. I force my voice to stay even. "Mom, there's beef, shrimp, ribs. Most people don't eat this well on a weeknight. It's already plenty." Brenda's eyes snapped to mine. "Chloe," she said slowly, "who gave you the courage to talk back to me like that?" She whipped her head toward Hank, grabbing his sleeve like a wronged heroine. "Hank, did you hear her? No respect at all. Your son's wife dares to argue with me. You better teach her some manners." A headache pulsed behind my eyes. Ethan caught my gaze for a second, helpless. Hank's jaw tightened. "Enough, Brenda. The kids are right here. Sit down and eat like a normal person." Brenda's eyes filled with instant tears. She covered her mouth, voice shaking. "So that's it. We've been together all these years and now you're tired of me. You think I'm embarrassing, don't you?" Hank looked like he wanted to put his head through the wall. "I'm saying your son and granddaughter are watching. Act like an adult for once. You're a grandmother, not a TikTok actress." She gasped like he'd stabbed her. "There it is," she choked. "For some outsider, you're scolding me." I set down my spoon and forced a smile. "Dad, it's fine," I said quietly. "I know Mom doesn't mean it." But the truth was, she meant every word. Later, after Hank walked off to cool down, Ethan and I slipped into our room. I shut the door and pressed my forehead against it, exhaustion washing over me. "This can't keep going," I said, my voice low. "She's watching those stupid wife-chasing dramas until 3 a.m. and now she thinks she's the main character. Everything I do is wrong. My cooking's wrong, my clothes are wrong. If I talk to you in front of her she accuses me of stealing her man." I laughed once, without humor. "Next week she'll probably accuse me of trying to seduce your dad." Ethan rubbed my shoulders, helpless. "Babe, I know. She's caught up in her own head. Just give me a little more time. I'll talk to her again." "You have talked to her," I said, eyes burning. "So has your dad. She doesn't listen. If this keeps up, I'm taking Lily to my mom's. Whoever wants to cater to her can stay." He pulled me into a hug. "Chloe, I get it. I know you're hurting. I swear, this is the last time I ask you to be patient. I'll handle it." I swallowed hard and nodded once. "Fine. Ethan, this is your last chance. If she pulls something like today again, I'm gone with our daughter." I meant it. I just didn't realize how far Brenda was willing to go to prove she was the wronged heroine in her own fantasy. A few days later, Hank nearly passed out in our living room. He was sitting on the couch when his phone started buzzing with bank alerts. 1, 2, 5, 10. His face went from confused to panicked in seconds. "Chloe," he called, stumbling toward the kitchen, his hand shaking. "Come look. Did I get hacked? Why is money disappearing from my card?" He pushed the phone into my hands. Transaction after transaction scrolled past: luxury boutiques, jewelry counters, designer clothing stores. I frowned. These are all from the mall. He blinked at me. Mall? I haven't. I didn't. Dad, I said gently, where do you keep that card? And who knows the pin? He froze, color draining from his face. A second later, he swayed and crumpled right there in the doorway. His vitals are stable, the ER doctor told us. Just acute stress. Keep him calm and monitor his blood pressure. No more shocks for a while. Ethan and I both exhaled like we'd been underwater. On the way back to the room, he grabbed my arm. What happened? Why would Dad suddenly faint like that? I clenched my jaw. Ask your mom. His brows shot up. What did she do now? She took his card, I said. Spent it like she was on a game show. Handbags, clothes, jewelry. From the alerts, it looks like she cleaned out his entire savings. Ethan stopped in the hallway, staring at me like I'd just told him the sky was green. She maxed out his retirement account? I nodded. I called her 3 times. Went straight to voicemail. Or busy. Like she's out enjoying herself. By the time we got Hank home, my nerves were shot. Ethan helped his dad lie down, adjusting the pillows like he was made of glass. We had barely gotten Hank settled on the couch when the front door swung open. Brenda breezed in with both arms loaded, shopping bags, glossy boxes, designer logos everywhere. She dumped them right by the entryway without a glance in our direction, humming under her breath. Hank pushed himself up so fast the veins in his neck stood out. Brenda, he barked. Did you take my card? She smoothed a hand over her freshly permed hair, not even looking guilty. Who else would I be? Why are you yelling? I only used what's already ours. Hank's voice shook. That money was our entire savings. You spent it in an afternoon? She shrugged. If you didn't want me to, you shouldn't have made me mad. You're lucky I only emptied the card and didn't run away. I could have packed a suitcase and vanished. Then you'd know what real regret feels like. His face went red. What did you even buy? Gold bricks? Go return it. Right now. Get my money back. She rolled her eyes. They don't do returns, Hank. And the stuff I didn't like? I already gifted it. When a man breaks a woman's heart, he pays a price. That's how it works in the stories. Hank staggered, clutching his chest. For a second I thought he'd hit the floor again. I slipped quietly into the kitchen before Brenda's attention could turn to me. A pot had never seemed so interesting. Out in the living room, Ethan's voice was low but furious. Mom, what are you trying to accomplish? Dad spent years saving that money. We aren't rich. You just burned everything he had. Brenda marched up to him and, without warning, slapped him across the face. I am your mother, she snapped. Who do you think you're lecturing? Is this that little wife of yours whispering in your ear? Has Chloe convinced you I'm the villain now? Ethan stared at her, cheek reddening, disbelief written all over his face. This has nothing to do with Chloe. You did this. You. Brenda's eyes filled again with those convenient tears. Fine. Fine. You're all against me. There's no place for me in this house. I might as well disappear forever. I stood in the kitchen doorway, watching her perform, crying without a single tear falling, glancing at Hank to see if he was watching. He was. But his expression wasn't soft anymore. It was tired. Bone-deep tired. For the first time, I wondered if he was closer to giving up than she was. If she had stopped at spending our savings, maybe this story would have ended differently. But she didn't. One afternoon, I was alone in the kitchen, stirring a pot of soup while our daughter, Lily, watched cartoons in the living room. Hank was resting in his room. Ethan was still at work. I heard Brenda's voice drift in from the hall. Lily, sweetheart, she cooed. Want to go to the park with Grandma? Lily's voice piped up, delighted. Can I, Nana? Of course, Brenda said. Grandma already asked Mommy. She said yes. I glanced toward the doorway, a little frown forming. Had I zoned out? I didn't remember that conversation at all. Then the timer on the oven beeped. I turned back to the stove, tasting the broth, adjusting the seasoning, telling myself I'd check on Lily in a second. That second turned into 10 minutes. When I finally wiped my hands and walked out to call everyone for dinner, the living room was empty. Lily? I called. Dinner. No answer. I checked our bedroom. Empty. Hank's room. Also empty. My heart started to pound. Ethan, I shouted, even though I knew he wasn't home yet. Lily, where are you? I tore through the apartment, opening doors, checking closets like she might be playing hide and seek. Nothing. My knees almost gave out. Ethan, who had just stepped through the door, caught me as I staggered. What's wrong? He asked, eyes wide. Lily's gone, I choked. She's not in the living room, not in our room, not with your dad. We both turned as Hank opened his bedroom door, eyebrows drawn together. What's all that shouting? What happened? I grabbed his arm like a lifeline. Dad, is Lily with you? He shook his head slowly. I haven't seen her all afternoon. My stomach dropped. Ethan's face went paper white. She wouldn't. She can't just walk out by herself. Someone had to. I felt something click in my mind. Your mother, I whispered. Maybe she took her out. Without another word, I bolted for the front door. I yanked it open, and almost collided with Brenda. She stepped back, irritated. What's your problem? You trying to reincarnate early, rushing around like that? I grabbed her arm hard enough to make her stumble. Where is Lily? Did you take her out? She shoved me away. How would I know where your kid is? Can't watch your own daughter and now you're blaming me? Have some shame, Chloe. My legs went weak. I nearly dropped to my knees right there and then, ready to beg if that's what it took for her to stop lying. Ethan stepped between us, jaw clenched. Mom, we haven't left this apartment. Dad hasn't left. Chloe hasn't left. Lily doesn't even know the building that well. If she walked out, someone had to take her. Was it you? For a split second, Brenda's face flickered, something guilty, something tight. Then it was gone. I went for a walk, she snapped. Alone. Stop interrogating me like I'm a criminal. Hank moved to the doorway, pale and shaking. Brenda, he said slowly, tell me the truth. Did you bring Lily outside? She crossed her arms. What, now I'm responsible for everything. I step out for fresh air and suddenly I'm the kidnapper. I'm an old woman, my memory slips. I don't know where she is. You. Forget where you left a child? I cried. She's your granddaughter. Before anyone could answer, a voice called from the stairwell. Hey! Is this where Lily lives? We all turned. Our neighbor, Mrs. Lewis, stood there holding Lily's hand. Lily's cheeks were streaked with dried tears, her little backpack hanging lopsided off one shoulder. The moment she saw me, she broke free and ran into my arms. I clutched her so tightly she squeaked. Oh my God, Lily, where did you go? You scared me to death. She hiccuped. Grandma said she told you. She took me to the park. We played and then I couldn't find her. I waited and she never came back. Mrs. Lewis found me. I looked up, every muscle in my body vibrating. Brenda's face drained of color. Hank's hands shook as he stepped forward. So, he said, voice rough, you forgot our granddaughter alone in some random park. And when we asked, you lied. Again. He raised his hand and slapped her, once, sharp enough that the sound echoed down the hallway. We were unlucky the day we brought you into this family, he said, his voice breaking. You spend all our savings. You treat my son's wife like the enemy. Now you abandon our granddaughter. I'm ashamed to even share a last name with you. Brenda stared at him, stunned, covering her cheek. You hit me, she whispered, horrified. For a little thing like this? You're hitting me now? A little thing? Ethan said hoarsely. She's 3, Mom. She could have been taken. She could have wandered into the street. And you call that a little thing? He looked at her like he didn't recognize her. Today is the last time I call you Mom, he said quietly. If you don't see us as family, if you don't see Chloe as your daughter-in-law and Lily as your granddaughter, then from now on we're strangers. Brenda lifted her chin, stubbornness hardening her features. Strangers? Fine. I don't need any of you. Go ahead. Kick me while you can. One day you'll all regret this. The wife-chasing arc has officially begun. She actually smiled. Like she was proud. That night, after Lily finally fell asleep from sheer exhaustion, I sat on the edge of the bed staring at the wall. Let's just divorce, I said. Ethan's head snapped toward me. What? I didn't look at him. I can't keep living like this. It's either your mom loses her mind first, or I do. I can tolerate being insulted, yelled at, blamed for everything. Fine. Call me the villain. But she threw away your dad's life savings and then she left our baby alone like she was a prop. My voice cracked. That's my line, I whispered. She crossed it. I'm scared of what I'll do if I stay here. And she's still your mother. I don't want to force you to choose between us. Ethan slid to his knees in front of me, wrapping his arms around my waist and burying his face in my lap. I felt his shoulders shake. Don't say divorce, he rasped. Don't. You'd be right to leave, but... Chloe, I don't want to lose you. This is my fault. I let it get this far. I kept hoping she'd change and I made you bear it with me. Tears hit my thighs, hot through the fabric. I'll end it, he said. I promise you. Whatever it takes, I'll fix this. Just take Lily and stay with your mom for a while. Give me time to deal with mine. I hesitated, then nodded slowly. This is the last chance. For all of us. Later that night, Ethan showed me a voice message that had popped up in the family group chat, one I wasn't in, but Hank was. It was Brenda. Since you're all targeting me, she said brightly, her voice annoyingly triumphant, I'm officially starting the regret arc. Let's see how long it takes you to beg me to come back. Don't worry, I'll forgive you eventually. That's how these stories go. I stared at the screen. She really believed she was the main character in some twisted drama where we'd sob and chase her down, begging her to come home. Hank, listening beside us, slammed his hand on the table. Has she lost her mind? This is real life. Who's going to chase her? Me? I'm an old man, not some billionaire CEO from her apps. She wants a wife-chasing crematorium? Let her chase herself. He turned to me, his expression crumpling. Chloe, I'm sorry. She's humiliated you, scared Lily, burned everything I worked for. You've been nothing but a good daughter-in-law and we treated you like a punching bag. I shook my head, throat thick. Dad, it's not your fault. Ethan was quiet for a long moment, then said, she doesn't think she's wrong. If she ever apologizes, it'll just be to get us back on script. And as soon as we forgave her, she'd start again. He met my eyes. We can't fix this by lecturing her. We have to cut it off at the root. I frowned. What do you mean? He took a breath. The company's opening a branch overseas. Toronto. The CEO's been asking me for months if I'd go over as a manager. I kept saying no because I didn't want to leave Dad here alone, and I didn't want you to feel uprooted. He swallowed. But maybe this is the answer. You take Lily to your mom's for now. I'll talk to Dad. We sell what we can. We move. Start over. What about your mom? I asked quietly. He gave a small, broken laugh. She's the one who started this I'm leaving so you'll regret it plot. Let her keep acting it out alone. Dad can come with us. She can stay here and be the lead in her own drama. I thought about Lily clutching my shirt in the doorway, about Hank collapsing over his empty savings, about Brenda smiling when she said we'd regret it. I nodded. Okay, I said. Let's go. Convincing Hank wasn't as easy as I'd imagined. When I knocked on his door the next afternoon, he opened it with a weary smile. You want to talk about going abroad, he said before I could speak. I sat on the edge of his bed. Dad, please come with us. We don't know when we'll be back. Years, maybe. Don't stay here alone with her. He looked down at his hands. I'm old, Chloe. New country, new language, I'll just be dead weight. As long as you and Ethan and Lily are safe, that's enough for me. That's not the real reason, I said softly. You still feel responsible for her, don't you? You're worried if we all go, she'll come back and find an empty house. He shook his head. No. Not after what she's done. I'm ashamed, Chloe. You were someone's little girl before you married into this family. You should have been cherished. Instead you've spent these years being insulted, slandered, treated like you were the problem. I let that happen. How could I have the face to follow you to another country and live off you after that? My eyes stung. Dad, you didn't hurt me, I said. You tried to shield me every time you could. If you don't come with us, I'm not going either. And I won't take Lily. His head jerked up. You can't do that. If you stay, she'll come back and torment you the moment she feels like it. Then Ethan and I divorce, I said calmly. That way she won't have a daughter-in-law to torture. Hank blanched. Absolutely not. You want us safe? I asked. You want Lily to grow up in a normal home? Then come with us. Or watch me burn this all down. He closed his eyes, shoulders sagging. After a long, heavy silence, he sighed. Fine. I'll go. But only because I want to watch Lily grow up. And because you're stubborn. We kept our plans quiet. Brenda made it easy. She had blocked all of us, me, Ethan, and even Hank, on her phone after her dramatic "I'm leaving" announcement. She packed a suitcase and flounced off to stay with an old friend, convinced we'd come crawling sooner or later. We didn't. Ethan resigned and signed his new contract. I applied for visas. Hank quietly transferred what little money he had left into a separate account. We packed our clothes, Lily's toys, important documents. Everything that belonged to us went into boxes. The only things we left were Brenda's. On the day we moved out, the apartment felt hollow. No more toddler toys scattered across the floor. No more framed wedding photo on the mantel. Just a lingering smell of furniture polish and old arguments. Before we left, I went downstairs to see our neighbor, Mrs. Lewis. Can you do me a favor? I asked, handing her an envelope. Inside was a note and a bank card. If Brenda comes back and realizes we're gone, please give her this. We'll send money every month. That's the most we can do. Mrs. Lewis gave me a long look and nodded. Some people only understand consequences, she said. You're kinder than I'd be. I didn't feel kind. I felt hollow. But Lily was bouncing excitedly beside me, chattering about airplanes and new houses and Grandpa coming on vacation forever. That helped. Brenda's big runaway arc didn't go the way she'd pictured. At first, her friend was sympathetic, letting her crash on the couch. But it didn't take long for Brenda to pull out the same act she'd used on us, complaining about the food, criticizing the furniture, throwing tantrums when she wasn't the center of attention. I heard about it later from Mrs. Lewis. One afternoon, Brenda overheard her friend's grown son grumbling in the kitchen. Mom, when is she leaving? If she were respectful, fine. But she eats our food, trashes the place, treats you like a maid. She's not family. She's just loud. Her friend sighed. I'll talk to her. We can't keep this up. My own kids are starting to resent me. Brenda stormed back into the guest room, cramming clothes into her suitcase, cheeks burning. By the time her friend knocked to talk things out, Brenda was already at the door, luggage in hand, simmering with rage. So, her friend said awkwardly, is your husband coming to get you? You didn't say. Brenda shot her a look full of venom. Why would I tell you anything? Afraid I'll mooch a few more meals? Don't worry. I'm leaving so your precious son can stop whining about me eating his rice. Her friend's smile vanished. I was going to suggest you go home and make peace, she said coldly. Families fight, but there's no need to drag it out. But since you insist on being rude, I won't waste my breath. Brenda scoffed. You'll see. When my husband and son come to beg me to return, you'll regret talking to me like this. Her friend actually laughed. I'd love to see who's going to beg you. You're not some rich heiress in a web novel. You're a middle-aged woman who treats everyone like dirt. That's why they're tired, Brenda. Not because you're too lovable to handle. Brenda shrieked and lunged at her. They ended up grabbing at each other like teenagers while the sun pulled them apart. By the time it was over, Brenda's hair was wild, her clothes wrinkled, one side of her face reddening. She didn't even bother to fix herself up. She stormed out with her suitcase, humiliated and furious. On her way back to our building, someone caught a photo of her, limping slightly, mascara smudged, the very picture of a fallen main character. They sent it to Mrs. Lewis. Mrs. Lewis sent it to me. By then, I was already at the airport. I stared at the photo for a long moment. I felt nothing. Maybe in another version of this story, I would have pleaded with Ethan to go back, to pick her up, to give her one more chance. But in this one, I remembered Lily's trembling voice. I couldn't find Grandma. She left me. That memory burned hotter than any pity. When Brenda reached our complex, she braced herself, chin high. She imagined, almost certainly, that this was the moment her storyline shifted. First she'd suffer. Then we'd come running, devastated, begging her to come home. Instead, the first person she saw was a neighbor leaning against the gate, watching her with open curiosity. "Well, if it isn't our resident regret arc heroine," the woman drawled. "What happened? No one came to pick you up, so you had to return on your own?" Brenda's face darkened. "How I come and go is our family's business. Why are you so nosy?" The neighbor shrugged. "Trust me, nobody wants to be involved in your mess. I'm just surprised you dared come back. A bunch of us thought your son and his wife would take you with them when they left." Brenda froze. "Left?" She repeated slowly. "What do you mean, left? Left for what? A vacation?" The neighbor hesitated, then shook her head. "You really don't know. They moved. Overseas. Your son, your husband, the little girl, they're gone. Going to settle down out there, from what I heard." Brenda laughed once, high and shaky. "Stop joking. Ethan and Hank would never move without me. If they were going abroad, they'd beg me to go too." "Beg you?" The neighbor snorted. "To keep yelling at Chloe and losing their kid in parks?" "Sure." Brenda pulled out her phone with trembling hands, unblocking Ethan and Hank, dialing one number after another. No answer. She tried again. And again. Nothing. The neighbor sighed, disappeared inside for a moment, then came back with the envelope I'd left. "Save your minutes," she said. "By now, they're probably on the plane. They left these for you." Brenda tore it open. Inside was a bank card and a short note, written in Ethan's careful handwriting but clearly shaped by both of us. "Mom. We've moved overseas with Dad and Lily. We've arranged to deposit money into this account every month so you can take care of yourself. Please don't try to contact us. After everything that's happened, we need to live somewhere you can't reach. Take care of your health. Ethan and Chloe." Brenda's hands shook so badly the paper rattled. "I did something wrong," she whispered. "I can change. I can apologize. How can they just leave me here alone?" She dropped the envelope and ran toward the building, feet slipping on the pavement. Halfway up the steps, she stumbled and fell, skinning her knee. She pushed herself up, limping, tears finally spilling for real this time. "Ethan," she cried, voice hoarse. "Hank. Chloe. You can't just go without me, come back and get me. I know I went too far, but why won't you give me one more chance? I don't want to be alone." Mrs. Lewis filmed the whole thing from a distance. Later, she sent me the video with a simple message: "If you ever regret your decision, remember this day." In the clip, Brenda is standing in the courtyard, shoulders shaking, calling our names like an abandoned child. The old me might have cried watching it. The me sitting at gate 23, with Lily curled up in my lap, and Hank dozing beside us, just watched in silence. If she had never spent our savings, maybe we could have forgiven her. If she hadn't turned every dinner into a war, maybe we could have worked on boundaries. If she hadn't left my child alone in a park to prove a point, maybe I would have fought for her. But she did all of that. On purpose. She didn't just cross my line. She buried it, danced on it, and called it character development. I put my phone face down on my knee. Ethan walked back from the counter, boarding passes in hand, breathing a little hard like he'd sprinted the last few steps. "What are you watching?" he asked. "Nothing important," I said. And for once, it felt true. He looked past me at the giant window where planes rolled across the tarmac. "They're starting boarding," he said, offering his hand. "Ready?" I glanced one last time at the city outside, the place I'd lived for over 30 years, loved, hated, cried in. The place where my daughter almost disappeared because someone wanted to play the lead in a drama. "Give me one more second," I said softly. I took in the view. The crowded parking lot. The hazy skyline. The old life I was finally putting down. Then I stood up and slid my fingers through his. "Okay," I said. "Let's go." He smiled, relief written all over his face. "Then let's get out of here." We walked toward the gate together, Hank shuffling along beside us, Lily bouncing ahead with her tiny backpack. As we handed over our boarding passes, I said it silently in my head, like a farewell I would never say out loud. "Mother-in-law. See you never. We're going to meet a life where you don't exist."